Children and young people who can't live with their family due to various reasons can be cared for by foster carers. In Australia, state governments manage foster care, which involves placing young people in the homes of approved foster carers, rigorously assessed and trained for that role. The foster care system in Victoria faces critical challenges. There's an increasing demand for placements at the same time as a declining number of foster carers. We need to recruit more. Our research aimed to identify the benefits of using tailored recruitment strategies for foster carers and the key characteristics of those inclined towards foster care so that government agencies can identify and engage people more inclined to consider fostering.
So when children enter out-of-home care, they have the option to go into a foster home. We would love to see them entering a home because that is the best option for them. It leads to better outcomes for the children. But we are seeing fewer and fewer adults in Victoria volunteering to step up and support these children in a safe home. Across the board, what we tend to see is that people lack the support to become a foster carer, but also feel like they're not capable.
There are many methods that can be used to recruit foster carers. However, not much is known about how effective these methods are, particularly in Australia.
So I spoke to 8 representatives from different foster care agencies in Victoria, and overwhelmingly they told me that having tailored recruitment methods versus general recruitment methods work better. So tailored means specifically tailoring your recruitment methods to the person that you are trying to recruit. So that's in both the design of the message, but also how you deliver that message. So for example, if you want to recruit more Indigenous foster carers because you might have a large number of Indigenous children needing support, then it might be best to include Indigenous people in your advertisements. If you also want to target people who already have children and might already have school-aged children, you might do well to use radio advertising during drive time, where people who are driving their children to school could be listening to the advertisement. When we're talking about general messages and general recruitment, it still has its place. It's not that it's completely useless, it just might be more useful to increase general awareness of the foster care issue. So when we're talking about general recruitment methods, we're talking about your billboard in the street.
The research set out to identify the barriers, attitudes and motivators behind fostering, and it revealed a number of variables.
Within our research, we looked at some of the barriers and some of the motivations that people, Victorian adults specifically, might experience to consider becoming a foster carer. So you can consider to become a foster carer, you can then inquire to become a foster carer or ask an agency about more information, but then also go on to apply. So when we're talking about support, it could be financial support. So they don't have the money to support a young person. They might be struggling themselves to pay rent, food, utilities, things like that. Being able to then fund schooling, activities, food and other factors for a child might be a stretch. But when we're talking about barriers, to focus just on support is one thing. We need to also talk about capability and that person's feeling like they can do the job. They are the one. They have the skills, they have the knowledge, they have the environment to support this young person. So it's related to many other barriers, but they're probably the key ones, support and capability. But then we also said that people are motivated. So there are a lot of people that are motivated to support children. And when they're motivated to support children, they're more inclined to consider becoming a foster carer.
The survey also distinguished between groups more and less inclined to consider fostering. Some of the results were surprising.
So we wanted to identify the group who are more inclined, and they had particular characteristics. Interestingly, they were predominantly female, working, aged under 50, owned a home with a mortgage or they rented, they had a spare room, they were child focused, they really wanted to help children. And all of these factors together I found quite interesting because given the current cost of living crisis we're experiencing, you would expect that the people who are more inclined to consider fostering are those who have more time. So people who aren't working and might be retired, people who probably have more savings and own their own home instead of having a mortgage. But as I mentioned, we saw the opposite. Instead of making an assumption and targeting retirees who own their home and might have a bit of spare cash in the bank, we should actually be targeting younger adults, those who are working and those who have mortgages.
This research challenges assumptions we might have about foster carers and their motivations.
What we need to be aware of is that as society changes, as our context changes, as the cost of living crisis changes, the characteristics of those more inclined groups are going to change. From here, governments and society need to work together to make sure that we're supporting the people who are willing to become foster carers in their role, and make sure that the children who are coming through today who need that additional support in the foster care system get it.
We need to understand the unique contexts and populations for effective recruitment, to tailor messages that involve current foster carers, and to utilise a range of different advertising channels to reverse the decline in foster care placements. Thanks for watching.